April 5th, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. It was around 5:30 Pacific Standard, which is about right here. There's economic news that was announced. There's the average hourly earnings as well as the unemployment rate. I think the numbers came out, well, whether they came out good or bad, it looked like the unemployment rate was kind of slowly decreasing, which I guess it was taken positively. And pretty much for the rest of the day, there was this very strong, but very gradual and I guess kind of a slow rally with a lot of little swing legs up. And then it looked like it kind of consolidated into a trading range, but it still kind of fit this big purple channel that I found. There was a lot of volume today. Now, yesterday, there was also a lot of volume, but it all showed up around 10, after 10 Pacific Standard. So from here, I kind of took a look, and it was pretty much from here all the way down. This was where the majority of the price action was. And up until that time, it was just very slow. Now, today, there were a few setups, but I felt a few of them were just kind of like almost trades. They almost looked like they would work, or they probably would have worked, but for whatever reason, I just didn't feel comfortable taking them. So I'm going to get into the trades right now. I didn't take any trades, unfortunately. So usually after a very, very strong sell-off day like this, off of no real news that I could find, I always imagined that there'll probably be a recovery bounce. And that's kind of what happened today, except it didn't bounce all the way back up. And it made it to about the halfway point and then it tapered out. So a reasonably decent recovery. Okay, so here, this is what the pre-market looked like. This is where the economic news came out. Pre-market, I didn't initially have this purple channel drawn like this. I just kind of throughout the day, I was playing with various channels until kind of get one to fit. And ultimately, it ended up being the purple one. This is the pre-market lows and the pre-market highs. It's kind of where this blue line looked like there was some kind of, I guess, respect being paid. Technically, the pre-market high is up here, but it looked like there was some kind of resistance where this blue line was. So I kind of drew it here. Well, the market opens. You have only a first entry long. It goes up. This is where, at this point, this is where I drew the blue line because I said, okay, this is the pre-market high, but it looks like there could be a sub-trading range happening here. Technically, you have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. I saw the second entry long. I didn't really quite like it because it just looked a little like it's getting close to this potential resistance, which looked like it was respected a few times previously. And the signal bar, it was okay, but there's not enough confidence room for me to feel like I could scalp out easily. Pushes down. Okay, so it touches here, and at one time, I was wondering where the real channel started to try to capture everything. It looked like it might have been here, and there's a overshoot down here, but this didn't quite fit that nicely. It kind of did, but it was rather large, so I was playing off of some kind of green channel like this at one time. So to say that it's bouncing off this purple is premature because this purple really wasn't established yet, so it's hard for me to trust that this purple was here. Even though you do have a new high, first entry long, actually, first entry long here, second entry long there. This is an inside bar for the second entry long, so that's a little more dicey. I do see this setup. I call this an almost trade though. So I see a new high, I see a first entry long pullback. This is a second entry long. Now it broke the green channel, this green up channel, and expecting a test of this high. So it made one attempt up, pull back. This could be the second attempt to try to test the highs, and it is bouncing off the EMA, but I wanted it to actually touch the EMA. And this was previously a resistance and now could be a support. So with some conflicting ideas, I decided to just leave it alone. But if I wanted to enter, there is enough room to scalp out before you hit the top. So I probably would have put it at the highs of this candle. It looks like here I would have gotten filled and very likely gotten that scalp. But it's an almost trade. I wanted it to touch the EMA to bounce off, but maybe this would have been good enough. What did spook me was this was acting as resistance before, and now could it be a possible support? I wasn't sure. flashes up, you have a new high, first entry long, second entry long. This is a pretty decent signal bar to go second entry long, but here it's already pressing against the highs, and now again I'm running into the pre-market high, which is giving me pause because it tested once, had a failed breakout here. You could make the argument that prices are clearly starting to trend up, and so the second entry long looks like it's pretty viable. Plus, this candle is pretty low risk, except I would have to keep my stop below this guy. And this is a 2 3/4 candle, so it's kind of large, but I just didn't quite feel comfortable. Again, if this pre-market high wasn't here to act as a potential resistance, I would have jumped on this trade. Looks like it would have worked though, flashed up. It starts falling into what I think is this yellow up channel. Comes up, kind of makes a double top here. It creates a new high, first entry long pullback, second entry long failure. Now I think this is a almost trade as well. It's a good bearish engulfing candle. So it actually ticked a little bit above this guy, then flashed down and closed at the lows. So this is probably pretty close to a possible trade. But again, what's throwing me off is I might be paying too much respect to the pre-market highs. So it's coming here. I'm thinking it could push through, or it could actually act as some kind of support, like this one acted as a support previously. But I wasn't too sure, so I kind of decided to let it go. Looked like it would have worked though. If I wanted to enter this trade though, I think I would have put it pretty much one tick below this guy, but still within the body of this guy. And it looked like it's debatable whether I would have gotten filled or not. If I put it one tick below this guy for sure, I would have gotten filled. But again, I'm just running into the potential of this pre-market high acting as support. And as you can see, if you did overstay your welcome for more than a few points, more than a couple points, it would have reversed on you. So it's kind of like things like that make me a little weary. Pushes up. It looks like it's making one leg down correction, a second leg down. Here it's hitting this previously proven support again. So I'm wondering, okay, is it going to bounce up or is it actually going to start pushing back through? Technically gave a new high, first entry long. This is a second entry long. It's inside bar. I don't like that. It's also a new low, first entry short, pull back. Creates a second entry short, and it failed. Well, it hasn't failed yet, but it could also be potentially seen as a higher low because it could be like a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and a higher low. So it's a bounce off of this previously seen as resistance is bouncing off the support again. So you could make an argument for maybe it was 1, 2, 3 tests, so potentially a triple test. But I just wasn't, it's a little confusing for me. I wasn't too sure to either go long. Had this is closed as a pretty decent signal bar, but it needs to close a little more bullish and ideally above the EMA. EMA is starting to kind of get sideways, but I wanted just that extra little confirmation just to not have to worry about a potential EMA resistance. And then looks like it would have flashed up and it would have worked. So this is for me an almost trade, but if you're more aggressive, it's probably a reasonably good trade to have taken. Plus, again, I was worried about this pre-market high acting as a resistance because it like prices are starting to move back into the pre-market range. So again, it's just a little confusing. There's just too much going on in this area, and I might be over analyzing and reading too much into it, which is preventing me from taking that trade. But it's okay as I see more charts and get more screen time. I think I'll have a better idea of how much respect to treat these pre-market highs or these potential support lines given the context of what's happening, because this is a pretty strong push down. One push up could be seen as a second push up. It's like two legs down, one, pullbacks, two. So I could have read it that way too. But I kind of see it better in hindsight, and in real time, it was uh, a little confusing. I was kind of thinking one way and thinking another way, giving respect to a potential possibility which may have actually been low probability. Prices move up, it kind of hits this resistance again. I notice it hit the same highs, which is the high of day. So I'm thinking there a potential resistance here and a potential support here. So I'm thinking we're starting to range in here. You have a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long, but this is a bad signal bar to go long. Plus, when you get a confirmation long here, I don't like that it kind of stops short of the EMA. course, if you did take the trade, it looked like it would have worked for a quick scalp, but it would have been a little dicey. And flashes down, hits this. It looks like it's holding support. So definitely I'm thinking we're in some kind of range here. Pushes back up. I'm expecting a test of this high now. So it actually goes up and makes a triple test and second entry short. So actually, if you look from here, it only creates the first entry short right here. Then it creates a second entry short right here. And I actually thought this was a possible trade. This is actually a pretty decent setup. It's one touch, two touch, clearly a triple test, clearly a second entry short. And what I liked about this is it ticked above, then immediately reversed and reversed engulfing the previous signal bar. So even though the signal bar isn't very good for a short, it doesn't matter when, well, it matters, but it's not as important as when you see the trigger bar close and push so strongly and close so bearish. But I think this was a possible trade. And the EMA, you don't really have to worry or give it too much uh, attention at this point because it's just pretty much going sideways. And if what I'm looking at is there enough room to push down? Is there enough momentum? I think this would have been a trade that I should have taken. Looks like here, if I enter, let's say one tick below at 52.26, I would want to get out at 52.25. And it looked like I would have, it's hard to say if I really would have gotten out or not. And definitely if I didn't get out, I would have gotten stopped out here. So this I thought was a good setup. Probably would have taken it on the engulfing or put it not one tick below, but at this low here. So been in 26, 52, 26, 25. And I want to get out at 52, 25, 25. That's where I would have, looks like I would have gotten it, but it happened rather quickly. And I think this was a possible trade. And in hindsight, I think if I was faster, I would have tried to take this trade. Prices move up, kind of moves up on this yellow up channel, breaks out, and it pushes again. So at this point, I'm thinking this purple channel, I did have to do some adjustments previously, was valid, and actually had the top of this purple channel a little lower here. So I treated this as an overshoot at one time. I said, okay, there's an overshoot. It's probably going to push right back in. And that's kind of what it does. Bounces, and it creates a second entry short. Now, I didn't really think of anything about this trade, but I did notice it was a second entry short. So from new low, it's first entry short, pull back. Second entry short is a bad signal bar to go short on. And I didn't have this green down channel established yet, but I did see this as a push of this yellow. It made one attempt up, pull back. It could be trying a second attempt, but here, nothing would have kind of indicated to me to get a trade ready, especially when you see this. I'm not thinking going short just yet, especially when the previous context was going very bullish. Pushes down. Here, then I think, okay, there's one touch, two touch. Probably one touch, two touch. We could be starting to trade within this down channel. It also made two clean legs down. After this push up, made one attempt up, pull back. This could be the second attempt up to test this high. But I don't have any kind of trade ready. There was a nice first entry short, second entry short potential, but this is an inside bar to this. It failed to break below the previous bar. So it gives me a little more cautious. It makes me a little more cautious. It looked like it would have worked. Ooh, just barely for a scalp. Prices then continue moving up, hits this consolidation trading range, keeps pushing up. It's breaking out of this purple up channel that I drew previously. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this isn't an overshoot. Let's try to capture it and put it right here. Prices continue to move up. I have this yellow channel I'm tracking to now, and it looks like it's edging and pressing against the top resistance. It's a consolidation area. It's this trading range. I see a second entry long here, and I was thinking maybe this is a possible trade. Of course, I didn't do anything until after the fact, then I realized, okay, there's actually probably a possible trade. So you have this yellow up channel going up. There's a first entry long, and now it's failing to hit the other side. Creates the second entry long potential. Now, the second entry long potential might have been worth a trade because this signal bar, it closed just barely under the EMA, but the EMA has been kind of holding prices for the last hour. Now, ideally, if this actually closed above, I don't think I would have hesitated at all. But in context, this is like a very small risk to take, so maybe it would have been worth a shot. It looked like it would have worked. The thing that, I mean, there's enough room here before you hit the top as well. Of course, you don't know that. And there's a breakout of this yellow up channel for the first time, except it's kind of losing its power. It's failing to make it to the other side. So, you know, it came down to kind of the signal bar. I wish it was a little bit stronger than I probably would have decided to take this trade. But if you're more aggressive, there's a potential scalp here. Pushes down, it hits this, and I drew this trading range at this point. I'm thinking, okay, there's potentially a triple test, but I don't like this as the first count. I do count this as one touch, two touch, waiting for another touchdown here. And it doesn't come back, and it pushes out. Now, I thought this was a potential trading range, and this could be a failed breakout, lower high. Because they technically, you could say this is a new swing low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short, plus a lower high, and engulf the previous candle. The thing with this lower high, even though it's a possible trade, the signal bar isn't very good, but then the trigger bar is decent and it engulfed it. I like that it went one tick above and then flashed down. And it could be moving back into this trading range because this could be part of a failed breakout. But I thought it might have been aggressive because it is counter trend to this clearly bullish day. So I'm just a little more weary. If this type of setup, this failed breakout, and it had a higher low on this side, I would have been more confident taking the trade because it looks like you're going with the overall bullish bias. But here you're counter trend trading and potentially trying to pick the top. So it's a possible trade, but I felt it was a little more aggressive for my taste. Then it pushes through. It looks like I was holding on this trend line for a little bit, then it broke through. There is a second entry, but it's just, very, very, I don't really like this because there's just too much tail. It pushes back in, and it starts breaking down and through. So now I'm thinking, okay, it's clearly moving back into this purple channel. Maybe this purple channel didn't have an overshoot. It was even higher up to here, and he had a small overshoot here. So it's a small break because it did look like it kind of confirms pretty nicely here. Break, and now it's going to come back and test the other side. So I don't really, I'm not too keen on any of this here, especially to go long right now because I want to see this push back down to here, potentially see one leg down, two small legs up, and another leg down, ideally to here, and then a bounce. The bottom is confirming rather nicely. It flashes down. Okay, so it breaks out of this. So I'm wondering if it's actually going to break to this side, either reverse or break to this side and continue down, but it's getting close to where I'm paying a lot more attention. Okay, so from here, I'm thinking, okay, could there be a possible bounce? The problem here is it's not a very good signal bar. There's no real setup. So I'm just a little careful because even though this purple support has held before, it also, per the way I've drawn it, overshot. So it could, going long right now, could still stop me out. So I'm just a little more careful. When I saw this, it was a little tempting because I was thinking, okay, this could be the signal I'm looking for. It could be bounce off the purple. There's plenty of room for the EMA. Let's see what this next candle does. Does it break one tick above? Unfortunately, it doesn't. There's a pause. There's a hesitation. So that made me nervous. It looked like if you did try to go for a trade, this probably would have given you the scalp, but you'd have to be pretty confident on this setup because it is a little bit higher low here, but it failed to break through. And then here it broke out. Looks like it got rejected off the top of this yellow down channel and then closed at the low. So if I didn't take this trade before, I'm definitely not thinking of going long now because this bar isn't giving me a lot of confidence. So it's just like, okay, just sit on your hands and wait. Look for a higher low, and you don't get a higher low, and it just kind of runs away. And it's kind of a bummer because you're looking for a higher low to help try to give justification to enter the trade because it did what I thought it was going to do, made from one side to the other, kind of made a small little overshoot to match this overshoot, and now it's kind of looking like it's pushing its way back up to here. But now I've missed that train. Of course, I would have had to have taken this a little more sketchy entry. It kind of pushes up, looks like it fails, comes back to the EMA, and creates a second entry long. So it's a new high, first entry long, pullback, Second entry long. Second entry long's confirmed here. The signal bar wasn't the best, but I thought maybe this is a possible trade because the break of this orange channel made one attempt up, pull back. It could be trying to do the second attempt. Also, I'm noticing the EMA is starting to act as support, and there's enough room before we get to the localized high. So this was probably a, worthwhile trade, and it's creating higher lows every time. So if you didn't take it here, if you waited for this, you didn't take it, and it closed here, this was kind of giving me a kind of a flashback of what happened here. Except this is an even better candle than this one. And if you could tell, this is actually the same height, makes a double top, and it looks like EMA is holding. So this is a trade I should have taken, but unfortunately, I don't think I was fully present in my mind or noticing. I think I was either reading something and I came back and looked at it and then missed the trade, saw this happen, and that was kind of a bummer. So it's just goes to show you just need to be. I just need to be paying more attention. The prices kind of move up, kind of breaks down. First entry long, second entry long. This isn't a very good signal bar to go long on. And hits this and bounces again. So now I'm very curious because this support's holding, but on this attempt, it failed to make it to the other side. Made one attempt up, pull back, second attempt up, it failed. So it looks like bulls are losing momentum. So I'm very cautious now on taking long entries. It breaks through. So now I'm curious is like if this purple channel is even going to hold now. I don't see any clean entries. The first entry short, the second entry short, but it's on the wrong side of the EMA, and it's breaking back into the up channel. So to go short, I'm a little weary because it could be a fail breakout. Is a new high, first entry long, second entry long, but this is a very bad signal bar to go long. Then once you have the confirmation it's second entry long, it's too late to chase. The only thing you can hope for is a higher low. You kind of get a higher low here, but it's ugly. Kind of chops around. It hugs the bottom support again, but it looks like it's just losing steam. And it's getting very late in the day. I have a new high, first entry long, potentially a second entry long here, but it's sitting on this purple up channel, which is getting sloppy now. What I mean is it's not holding prices. Prices aren't holding above it anymore. Now it's just kind of chopping through it. So previously it was reliable, but here its reliability is coming into question. So it feels risky to try to take a long here. It looks like if you did, you would have gotten filled, plus it's below the EMA. It feels like it would have been a trap. So if I took it here and I would have put my stop loss down here, I would have gotten stopped out, and then it would have went up the way I thought it did. And of course, it's getting very late in the day, so definitely don't want to take any of these trades, especially when I sat through the whole day not taking a single trade. At this point, it doesn't feel like I should be trying to get some kind of profit here. And the price is just moving to the close. So it was definitely more volume, more volatility today. There's a few setups. A few setups I discounted. Now, whether they were actually reasonably good solid trades or not, in my eyes, just didn't feel comfortable with it. With more chart time and trading, I'm pretty sure I'll be able to filter it better and probably jump on some of these trades. So hopefully that was helpful.